Yo, everybody present here. In this video, we will be learning how to set up an environment for web developer using VS Code as a text editor right from the scratch. So I'm Tarak and this is your YouTube channel Web Tutorial. Show some love, smash that like button and let's go.
Let's jump right back in. VS Code as Visual Studio Code, it's owned by Microsoft, is the best source code editor for 2020 that combines the most powerful development tools and let you customize it completely free. So what we are going to do now is download and install VS Code and then we'll proceed from there. So to download and install VS Code, you need to go to code.visualstudio.com. If you're not able to find it, you can just type VS Code on Google. The first option would be code.visualstudio.com. So just click on the download button depending upon which platform you are on. So Visual Studio Code is available on all the platforms like Mac, Linux, Windows, and so on, and other downloads too. So just download whatever is suitable for your environment. So once you download it, so let's go and install. So I have downloaded it here. Let's go and install as administrator. So once you install as administrator, you have to accept the license. So this is the installer that's going on. So after accepting the license, it asks you for where do you want to save your program files. So carry on. So do you want to create a start menu folder? Yes. This is the option that is important for me, especially because I've been using this for a long time. So I would like selecting these three options like add and open code and Windows Explorer. So what it basically does is it adds the code on your on any of the Explorer. So basically, if you want to open this folder in VS Code, you just have to left click and that will be an option to open with code. So I would like to do that, and I also register code as an editor for supported file types. I'll also create a desktop icon. So as it is installing, so what we'll be doing next is like we'll create a new file. We'll see how we can create a new file. We'll also go through like what is the environment and how it is, what is the user interface and how do we understand that. Basically, for web developer, it is already pre-customized mostly. So there'll be very less extensions you need to add. But if you're programming any other languages like Python or Java, you need to install your favorite programming language support. So basically, how can you install that is by the use of extension. So what extension does is it helps either in auto completing your code or quick fixing or formatting your code. So if you find better extensions that can help you achieve your code faster, that's the way to go. So basically, you install extension depending upon what program do you want to do. So I have already completed the Visual Studio Code installation. Let's click on Finish and launch it. So once you launch Visual Studio Code, you would see a welcome screen. Yeah. So on the welcome screen, just give me a second. Yeah. On the welcome screen, you have lots of options. So basically, if you do not want to see the welcome screen every time you start Visual Studio Code, there is an option called Show Welcome Page on Startup. You can just uncheck it. So if you uncheck it, it will never ask you to correct. So that by default, it will be giving you some suggestions like help improve VS Code by allowing the data. So no. Uh, So this is an source code editor. So basically, if you see the layout, you have a status bar at the below. So what status bar is like? Status bar has all these options like what are the errors and how many errors are there and how many warnings are there, what kind of programming language you would be typing, and all those features will be there. So if you see, if you want to know more about the UI, there is an option here called Interface Overview. So if you click on Interface Overview, it will tell you where everything is and what are the shortcuts for it. So view errors and warnings on the left hand side, toggle integrated terminal, uh, would be over here. So basically, integrated terminal is like you can open your command prompt or PowerShell directly in your VS Code. So that's how you do it. Show notifications if there is any. Run all the commands by pressing Ctrl Shift P. This is a command palette, which is also very important. Then there is an activity bar which has File Explorer. Search across all the files. Source code management. Source code management usually is version control of your own project. So we'll be going into source code management later on, probably in other videos. Launching and debugging. If you're programming using Python or Java and you want to do debugging, and those stuff can also be done in VS Code. And there are extensions. Extensions are basically you can install extensions depending upon your what kind of environment you want, or how much ease or how much support do you want in terms of developer technologies. Okay. So this is your file explorer search, and this side it is called an activity bar. The below it is called a status bar, and then you have your command palette. So command palette can be opened by pressing Ctrl Shift P or also by pressing F1. So it is the same command palette. So now let's go and see like how you can change the settings. So basically settings and key bindings can be found here. So key bindings are like, say for example, you have already been using some other code editor like Sublime Text or Vim or Atom or any other text. So basically you would have some shortcuts on the text to complete few stuff. Say for example, Control R stands for something and Control P stands for print over there. So basically those are the key bindings for that particular editor. So if you are very much comfortable, or if you have already practiced with other editor and you want those key bindings to be here, you can also apply that. And if not, you can see all the key bindings that are available here by printable keyboards and cheat sheet. So if you click on this, you will get a cheat sheet of Visual Studio Code's key binding and thing. So basically it has lots and lots of shortcuts that are available that are integrated into terminal. So just go through this and you'll get an entire idea. So this is a printable sheet and all these are like key binders. So you can also change the default key bindings. Like say for example, if say key mapping. So basically if you say these are all key maps, where F1 inspect key mapping or keyboard shortcut, open keyboard shortcuts. So basically these are keyboard shortcuts. You can edit any of these keyboard shortcuts. Say for example you have copy command. There is two ways of doing it, either by pressing Control C or by pressing Control and insert. So say for example I want to say if I press Control and 6. So basically this is a new key binding that will, and press enter. So now if I press Control and 6, it will become like a copy. So instead of that, no, I'll rechange it back. I don't want to edit it. Control and insert. Yeah. Yep. So this is basically it. And let's see. So these are all the key bindings, which is same as what we saw in the cheat sheet. But this is in your editor, and you can customize this according to your own needs. Um, Go through it. If you want to know, if you want to learn how quick, if you want the fastest way to learn all the key bindings and stuff, there is an option called Interactive Playground. Interactive Playground is like essentially it's a short walkthrough. It gives you all the features. It explains you everything. Like what is Interactive Playground? You have multi-cursor editing. So how multi-cursor editing is done. So what are the selectors? How can you do it? Say for example, I want to change background color to just the color. So I can press Control D and select all background color, and I can edit it to color by default. So this is how you can do multi-line editing at the same time. So using one cursor to the stuff, and IntelliSense is like how you can complete. So what is the error? It shows you right then and there. So basically, if you see this underline, so it's an IntelliSense thing. It's saying you like there is a mistake in that. So now let's see like you can learn all the shortcuts faster by going through Interactive Playground. You will get an interface overview. If you want to know more about the UI, you can see with interface interview. Find and run all commands. You have all the shortcuts like what are the commands are available in which particular extension, that is like everything is over there. your color theme. Okay, so next thing we'll come to is like how you can customize your Visual Studio code for your needs. Say for example, like I don't like working on the dark theme, so it's my personal preference. So I would like selecting a default theme to be light. So say I just select for color theme, and there is an option for light, default light or light Visual Studio. So these are just a little bit of difference. So uh, you can customize the editor as per your choice. And if not, if you did not like any one of these, you can also download. Themes. Say Material theme is good. There are few themes I could recommend. One is the GitHub theme. Say for example, GitHub theme for VS Code. If you install this and see this, this is a clean white and black GitHub theme for VS Code. You can either go dark or you can either go light on it. Both are good. So color theme. So you have GitHub dark and you also would have GitHub light. So yeah. So these are the two color themes that we can go for. Considering the activity bar, so let's go through all the options in that. And before that, so in case if you do not want the welcome page, you can uncheck this box. So every time when you next time when you open VS Code, this page will not be available. So there is another thing is like what are your recent projects? Say for example, if you have started many projects and you want to shift between projects, you can easily do that by that it will be mentioned in here. If not, you can also press Control R and see what are the projects or open Control key and you'll be able to see what are the other projects that are available. Say for example, I want to start a new project. I want to create a file. So how can I do that? So one option is like you can either create by creating an open folder. So basically what happens is like say on desktop I want to create a file for project web tutorials. Okay, I have already created web tutorials or let me create another one. So say YouTube VS Code tutorial. Say for example, the path does not exist, so I can create a new folder, Control X. Okay, that's an open folder. So I can go to desktop, create new folder, Control V, select folder, next. So if you see this, this is how a project can be opened. So basically, what Explorer shows is your file explorer. It's a substitute for that, but all your files will be listed here. So you can also create your files here. You can also create a directory here. You can collapse the directory, open the directory, and whatever is open on the editor will also show that. So these are all the shortcut commands to start new file. Okay, before getting into all this, like I'll also show you toggle terminal. So basically, if you press Control, it is showing you your key bindings here. So Control and tilde key, which is right next to number one. So basically, I have installed PowerShell. So for me, it is going to the PowerShell. PowerShell is nothing but an administrative version of command prompt. By default, it opens as an administrator. So I can also select default shell to be a command prompt or git bash. So basically, even git bash is a good theme. So let's see if it changes. Okay, or I'll change it to command prompt. Okay, select default shell. So git bash, git bash. Yeah. So basically, if you see, this is git bash. Hmm. I don't know if these commands are working. Index.html. Say for example, this is a Linux style command which is available in Git. So if I touch index.html, it will create a file named index.html for me here. So either I can click on this create new file or I can type it in terminal to get the file. The other thing is like apart from the theme, you can also change the icons that you see here. So basically for the icon, you have default icons. So you have file icon themes. You have these three. You have minimal Visual Studio, you have none. You also have SETI Visual Studio Code. So Visual Studio Code SETI is what is selected by default. File icon themes. So if you say minimal Visual Studio Code, so basically it is nothing. There won't be any dramatic file theme. But basically, I would like to install VS Code icons, VS Code icons, or material theme icons, whichever it is. Like this is, I'll show you what it does. So basically, um, it makes it look good. That's it. I don't know how else to explain it. Say, for example, I have installed VS Code icon. So if I just click on it, it will be installed. So now if I go to the file manager, if you see here, you have that HTML5 number 5 over there. Okay, so basically, code, if you see source code editor, what it does is it helps you in lots of different stuffs like auto completing, quick fixes, and formatting the document. Say, for example, auto completing, how it works is say I want to type in HTML. So if I was working on a normal text editor, I would have to type like individually HTML. I have to close it. See, basically it is auto-completing. If I write it once, it is closing it for me automatically. So that's an auto-completing feature. Uh, there are other for default web application they have already installed Emmet in it. So basically it takes care of your CSS and JavaScript and HTML. So you need not write so much of code. All you have to do is just an exclamation mark, which is an representation for doc type HTML5. If you just click on tab, the entire structure is there. So this is a HTML structure which is installed. So next thing we'll see is like I have already showed you how to install extensions by using the file icon. So if you see currently we are using only one extension, you can check that out by install two extensions. So one is a GitHub theme. Okay, yeah, we installed GitHub theme and Visual Studio Code icon. So apart from this, let's install one more extension which will help us get, say for example, we have default support for SAS, but main.scss. Yeah, so we have star padding would be okay. It is auto completing. So we have this function, say margin. So it is auto completing. It is telling me, it's hinting me like what is the code or what I'm trying to write. So do not worry on what am I writing right now. So basically it's an HTML code. I'll be covering that in depth in the HTML tutorials. Okay, HTML, CSS, SAS, and JavaScript. We would be covering that. So by default, if you see, it does nothing. There is an option here. No. Okay. So what we'll be doing is we'll be installing a SAS Live Watch extension. So basically what it does, we'll be installing two Live Watch extension. One is a live server where I can easily see what changes I'm doing on HTML at that same instance when I'm changing it. So after I change it, when I click on save, automatically it should update on my web page. So currently if I do any changes, say for example, I'm opening it in File Explorer and I'm opening it in a thing. So currently if I do any changes in HTML, say let me add a paragraph tag. I'll say, hi, this is Tarak from Web Tutorials. Yeah. Say if I save it, I don't see anything on the page right now, so I'll have to click on refresh. So once I click refresh, hi, this is Tarak from Web Tutorials is available here. So in order to avoid refreshing this again and again, I would install the first extension, which would be like live server reload, live server. Yeah, this one it is. So basically, how do you install an extension is just search for the extension. If you don't know which extension to use, you can always Google up. There are lots of extension which can help you to easily work it out. So basically, if I'm a web developer, I do not want to keep refreshing the page and see what is happening, right? So if I install that, so once it is installed, I'll get an option. So currently, if you see, like there is no option here for running as a live server. So currently it is installing. Yeah, it has installed. So now if you see there is an open with a live server with a shortcut of either Alt L or Alt O. So I can press Alt O, Alt O. Okay, I need to select. Yeah. So new live server browser integration auto fallback to random ports and fixes show detail. So basically, it will tell like what are the default ports it can go up to. Those are the documentation, you need not go through that. So you have an option here either to click here and just go live. So you can either go live by clicking it here. Yeah, so basically it has started. So now if I make any changes and just click on save, say for example, uh, H3, show some love, hit that subscribe button. Yeah, say I'm saving it. So as soon as I save it, you see the page has been updated. So I regularly need not go and keep changing it. The other thing is like SCSS. Okay, I need to SCSS also. There is an extension which can convert SCSS live SCSS compiler. So basically, live SCSS compiler is also by the same guy who has a live server at Weekday. So yeah, so what it does is like all I have to do is click on this. I'll show you the options below. SCSS. So basically that'll be okay. It's not updated yet. Oh, I'll have to restart the Open with Live server. Oh, manage extensions. So there is an option here for WhatsApp. So all you have to do is just click WhatsApp. It will automatically work on it and it will create the CSS file as uh, it will also create a map and it will create a CSS file which will have the reason why you use SCSS is like it helps to create CSS which is browser friendly. So basically, if you're using different browsers, say Internet Explorer or Mozilla Firefox, so there are few um, properties which do not work on those particular stuff. So I'll be covering all this in our website development tutorial as a full stack web developer. But just to tell you, like, so I have not written this lines of code. So basically, I have written just 3 lines of code, and it has automatically edited to cover up for different browsers. Okay, so that's an advantage of using SCSS. Okay, and apart from that, also nesting works with SCSS. So that's another thing. Okay, so what is this? I have not included that in HTML. So what changes will it make? Uh, let's say let me include it. Link CSS. See, this is an emmet abbreviation. All I have to type is link colon CSS and tab. You automatically have the entire line of code. So that's in code autocomplete. All you have to do is dot slash location main dot CSS is my CSS file. So if I load it, so what happened actually is by default, if I don't load this, by default, the website has a tendency of having a padding on top and the left-hand side, and also messes up with your positioning. So, hi, and this is tutorials for web web tutorials. Okay. So if you see this, it has removed all the padding and all the default margin and padding from all the elements that are going to come inside the tags, right? So that is what this is all about. So so these are the two extensions that I would recommend installing as a beginner for website developer. We will cover up most of the things afterwards. So I have already covered how to install VSS Code, how to configure VSS Code, how to change, how to add extensions, where is your keyboard shortcuts. So this is basically an introduction of your VS Code.
Kick.